Good evening, folks. Welcome to Ridgecrest Talk, the Thursday night edition. We're back on Thursday nights. Can you believe it?
Well, for this week.
Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a great Christmas and a safe and sound New Year. It's just good to have you all back with us. We're glad to be back here. And we're glad to have back one of our favorite city representatives, Mr. Gary Parsons. Thank you, Gary, for being with us
Happy
again.
New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Now, Gary had probably the high point of the 2015 year. When was it? In October? Mm-hmm. When they had the big crescendo of music and video. He made his announcement that Super Walmart was going to break ground. And by God, they did.
Yeah, they did.
He lost the hamburger bet, though.
Yeah, I lost the hamburger bet. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
And just something that
By about only 2 weeks, folks. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
2 weeks.
Go ahead.
How about 6 months? How about 6 months? But anyway, Al, being the new year, forgot. I'm Robert Eierman. He's Al Huey.
I am?
I think.
This week.
Is it vice versa?
It's this
I
week.
guess I am.
Okay.
It's this week until they catch up to you.
Yeah. So he just forgot to mention that.
Yeah. Thanks for picking up on my stumbling.
Yeah, that's my job.
You're a good guy
Yeah.
sometimes.
I wish other people would say that.
So, we wanted to talk to you about economic development. That you kind of have a feel for
I
that,
have a
don't you?
little feel. I spend a little time at that every
little
day.
time?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's back up. How did 2015 go? Obviously, Super Walmart, but how does it look heading down the road here?
I'm expecting 2016 to be quite a year. The latter part of 16 is the target date for the new Super Walmart to open, which is, I'm sure they'll be looking for Black Friday and Black Thursday, I guess it is, to be open. So I would expect that their plan is to be open sometime, they tell me, the fourth quarter of the year, 16, but I would bet you somewhere around October, November.
They seem like they're moving pretty good down there.
Yeah, they are. They're about 30% complete on the project already. Of course, you got to remember the first 30% goes pretty quick. The last 30% is, if you're ever in the building industry, which is the detail, is important. And in fact, one of the interesting things, I just sort of an anecdote, but basically I was talking to one of the Walmart store new Walmart store manager, Super Walmart manager, and I was talking to him about, well, I wanted to be out there when you start moving the shopping carts from the old store to the new store, because it would be quite a an image of watching 600 and 700 shopping carts go across the street, China Lake Boulevard.
They're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that. He told me everything at the new store is new, including the shopping carts.
Wow.
So we'll all get new shopping carts. That's the whole purpose of my job.
It's worth it then.
Shopping
We get new
at the
shopping
supper
carts.
at Walmart. But they will be open in there. So they're moving their project along just fine. Everything is moving forward. We find their developer here and their builder to be extremely good.
El Nino's not slowing them down?
Not so far. I mean, they got a little wet, but it didn't affect them so far. The big thing is, of course, they can't do asphalt until it warms up.
Right.
So we won't see the parking lot and a lot of the street work done until the spring when it warms up.
Okay, and is that also when they're going to do the canal work?
They'll start doing the canal work. They're actually doing some of the canal work, digging of it, because they're using some of the dirt from the Bowman Channel to elevate their property.
Okay.
They happen to pick a site that's probably as many people know, one of the lowest points in the valley.
Yes.
So they're having to put, I believe the number, and I could be incorrect because I'm not the engineer, but I believe the last number I heard was like over 200,000 yards. No, 150,000 yards of dirt just to raise the pad so it's above the flood channel. So flood
Well, I see building going up, so they must have already done the
They've
pad
done all
work.
that work. All that work's been done, and some of the channel's been dug out, but they still have to raise the parking lot a little bit and raise the thing. So they'll still be digging. They're going to be improving the channel from the old back of the old Walmart, where it is now,
Yes.
all the way through China Lake Boulevard on up to Forest Knoll.
Okay.
And I think we talked about this before. There will be an entrance pulling into the Super Walmart from China Lake Boulevard?
Yes, there will be, but
A bridge or something going over
no,
the
actually,
aqueduct?
no, there actually won't be. There'll be a right turn lane in if you're going north on China Lake Boulevard from the south, which is not going to be many people in town, but there will be a right turn lane into their parking lot.
College Heights Road?
No, it won't be College Heights either. It'll be a
won't?
separate turn lane. Actually,
Oh,
in
okay.
a
So
right
they're
turn
going to have
lane
like an
in.
annex road there.
Yeah, they'll have like a little, well, essentially a large driveway or annex road that goes into there off of China Lake Boulevard.
But you will be able to pull in from Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman will be probably just like it is now for many people, the major entrance into the Walmart project, and they will have a light at Bowman that turns essentially into the front of their parking lot. So Bowman will be probably the big entrance, and Bowman's being widened to 4 lanes as well in that section. So you'll have the 2 and 2, much like it is. So that'll add benefit to people being able to get in there.
You said that the project's maybe a little ahead of schedule. I was just surprised. I had a little personal bet with myself about whether we would see any building going up before the end of the year, and I'm amazed.
I didn't think we would.
I didn't either, but we've got 3 full walls up.
Yes.
The east wall's not up
Right,
yet.
and the roof structure's starting to go in.
Yes, I noticed that also.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, just to show you the quality of the construction that Walmart does, there was like 100 and some odd, over 100 bore points in the foundation to see the strength of the foundation. They actually bore 100, which is very rare to see done, to show the strength of the foundation and when they can put the walls up, and that the dirt was sufficiently compacted.
Wow.
So it's a good builder. We got lucky. We got a good builder.
Okay, I mean, that's just wonderful. I mean, I just was amazed. I mean, I understand that's maybe the easy part or the shorter part, but it's still actually see the majority of the structure up already.
Well, I've heard estimates it takes them 2 months to stock the store. Once it's finished, just to put the stuff in it.
I would believe
2
that.
months.
And then you've got...
I observed the one down in Victorville, there in the Adelanto, Victorville area. Seemed like it didn't take them that long to stock it, a matter of weeks. But,
well, we'll see.
you know,
But that's...
I have to say I was traveling back and forth, so maybe I lost track of time. Speaking of time, we have to take a break for a commercial here. So don't go away. We'll be back with more here on Community Spin, and our guest, Mr. Gary. What?
On Community Spin.
What did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Community Spin. Radio Day's coming back on Ridgecrest Talk with our guest Gary Parsons. Join us.
It's a new year.
Wow.
Yeah. And welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk here on KZGN-TV. It really isn't Community Spin, but we'll let that pass this time. It is a new year after all. I'm Robert Eierman, along with my co-host Al Huey, and our special guest tonight is Mr. Jim Parsons, head of
Gary.
Gary Parsons.
All right.
There we go.
It's a new year.
It's contagious.
I got him.
It's contagious. Anyway, Mr. Parsons, head of economic development. See?
Got it.
There's a way to handle that.
Got it. Got it.
So,
Brand new year.
The Super Walmart main store is going up.
Right.
And there were going to be some other buildings on the property.
Yeah, there's
I think, what you said, 2?
Now the we're all doing it. The track map, which is the document that shows the whole project. There's going to be 4 new pads. There's 4
okay.
outer pads. One pad is planned for and permitted for a fuel station.
Okay.
I don't believe Walmart is planning on building a fuel station at this point. We have been talking and frankly under discussions, and it's on Walmart's call. It's not the city, so I'm not directly involved. But I believe that there's discussions going on about another fuel type, low cost fuel station company like AMP is an example, going into that site. And then there's 3 other stores. I don't believe they've even gone far enough to know what they're going to do with those stores. But those pads will be there. Yeah, they'll be developed, in the coming after Walmart's up.
Now, are
then
these
they'll go
paths
there.
going to be single stores or
Single
like
stores
at,
primarily, yes.
oh, not like over at
No.
the old Walmart where you have a little mini.
No, no.
Mini strip, no?
No, they'll be separate paths for separate stores. And the stores, will be moderate size. They'll be 5,000, I think, maybe I think the maximum they could probably do is 15,000 square feet. But in the space that they have with the parking and everything else. So, but I don't think Walmart's gone.
In
They
and
even
out,
talked about
in and
that.
out back probably.
Yeah, right. In and out. Let me explain to everybody here why we don't have an in and out. The reason we don't have an in and out is the corporate requirements, and they give us demographic requirements. And in and out's unusual in that it requires daily traffic, meaning counts, meaning traffic going by that store or that location of 75,000 cars a day.
Wow.
We don't have 75,000 cars going by any place in this town, so we wouldn't be able to do that. And if you take a look at In-N-Out Burgers, you'll find that most of them are located on freeway accesses or off
Yes.
of freeways. That's so they get that count, and
Okay.
that's just their particular store requirement. So I realize everybody would like one, and we'd love to have it unless we can get a corporate owner to move here. And it's a family kind of operation. We'll probably not see an In-N-Out Burger soon.
What about the
And
corner?
would we want to? 75,000 cars? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, what about the corner of China Lake Boulevard and 395? Does that
That's-
have 75,000?
That it does have that kind of traffic count. However, it's not in the city; it's in the county.
Yes, I know.
And it's kind of way out
For
there.
right now.
Kind of.
Yeah, way out there.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not thinking that's probably in
And,
the
and I don't
future,
know
in
how
our
many
immediate
people
future.
would feel very comfortable driving that distance to get. Oh, you would.
Yeah,
Okay.
he would. Well, and I must tell you, every time we have I have another group I talk to, I always have a list of people's preferences, and so I have a funny story that I usually tell. When I first came to the city, I was in the chamber meeting, went to the chamber meeting, and I refused to tell you who in the chamber, but I had somebody come up and ask me about, well, when are we going to get it? This is like second week on the job. When are we going to get a Red Lobster in town? And my comment was, well, I saw a Red Lobster going down 395. It was really red from the sunburn. That's about as close as you're going to get to a Red Lobster because of the numbers of their requirements. So, there are things we can get and there are things we can't get. So,
Okay, moving on, but still talking about Walmart. Where are we on the old Walmart building as far as finding new occupants?
well, I can tell you because it's a formal listing. Walmart has the building listed at $3.3 million. It's a 96,000 square foot building approximately, and it's got 11.6 acres that goes with it. They are, of course, it's, again, their property. The city's not directly involved. We would have a say on what goes in it down the road, but we don't have a say, the process of selling it. It's their property. It's a real.
Oh, I
believe
thought
or not,
it was a requirement for them to.
well, they have a requirement to reuse the property within 3 years, or, have it reused and repurposed. In other words, they can't just tear it down. So, or it comes back to the city. So, at that point, right now, their active negotiations of their real estate, their transactions, is not. The city doesn't have a say in each individual transaction. Okay. But I do know that they've had a couple of developers already approach them about buying the building. The general concept would be that they would do much like the Mervyn's building, split it into several stores and new stores, and we would get the new shopping opportunities there. And the new store list would be up to the developer at that point, who they can bring in. And so that's where that old store is. It's interesting that, just to give you an idea, the Staples store next door is also vacant. You probably know, or we call it the Staples store. It's really the old Staples store. And that building is 24,000 square feet, and that owner wants $2.5 million. So I don't think we'll see the Staples store sold soon.
I was going to say, it makes the Walmarts look like a heck of a bargain.
It actually, if you look at the building and the land and all that, it actually is a pretty good bargain. So Walmart's trying to meet their commitment to us to get that reuse done. I mean, they're actively selling it. Obviously, they can't sell it until they move out of it. So there's still
Clearly
a year worth of, in terms of having somebody take it over. But that's there is activity going on. I think it will easily get reused. And we'll wait to see once we have the developer or the entity that buys it.
Well,
talking to us
obviously,
about that.
that end of town now, there's a vacant lot on the other side of Bowman, across from where the Super Walmart's going to be. their activity moving down in that part of town for
Well,
commercial?
I think you'll see obviously some commercial growth down at that end of town because of the new building and the new situation. Obviously, when we start putting 90-some thousand square feet, split up any way you want, onto the market, we start adding some. That's a big amount of retail space to add in a very quick time. But I think we will see in 16 we'll know what's going to kind of happen down there, because I think Walmart probably will have this deal cut before they move out. We'll be able to talk to the developer, have some idea what's going on there.
But have you had any looky-loos or inquiries
About which piece?
on surrounding properties there?
Oh, well, the developer that owns and he is a developer that owns the piece you're referring to, which is across the Walmart on China Lake. There's a big stretch there. We've been in discussions with him for a long time. And he is, since he bought the property, and he's looking at envisioning a strip center, much like Town Center, with a large box in the middle. But he's talked to a couple of boxes, and I don't know where he's at. I call them boxes, retail stores.
Large retail stores.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to be careful I don't slip into my language. But basically, it is, and one of the ones he's talked to, and I don't know where he's at. And certainly I'm not providing this as a new opportunity, because I don't think
Why don't we use that to let them come back after the break to hear that? Yes, and we'll
Teaser.
Yeah, teaser. We'll be right back. And welcome back to our final segment here on Ridgecrest Talk, the Thursday evening edition. I'm Robert Eierman, along with co-host Al Huey. And our special guest tonight is Mr. Gary Parsons. You were just going to tell us...
That was it, and then I didn't tell you. The developer has worked with Target, and he's been in discussions with Target about locating a Target there. I don't believe those discussions have gone very far. But that's an example of the kind of store he's looking at for that site.
Well, I fully believe that once the Super Walmart is up and going, it lends such a legitimacy to the town, and specifically to that area of the town, that I think that people who hadn't previously considered us will consider us.
Yeah, we'll see some more stores come out of that result. Retailers, like a lot of industries, are kind of, I call it the sheep effect.
Yes.
Sort of like follow the leader. And Walmart's demographics and market information is tremendously good. So other retailers look at where Walmart's going. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
So anything else on the horizon,
well,
economic development-wise?
I'd like to take a real quick talk about Applebee's. It's been talked about over and over again in the city, and we've had multiple opportunities and it kind of shows you how economic development can go, because people ask the questions about that, is that Applebee's has been purchased once again by another retailer, and I never pronounced the name right. I'll try. Panera Bread is a corporate entity that their holding company is the one that bought. So we were in a process of negotiating with the International House of Pancake, which had real estate group, which had bought Applebee's.
Okay.
So now they have been subsequently bought by this other company.
Panera Bread.
So now we have a new real estate department coming in from Panera Bread, which, by the way, we qualify for. So we'll be asking them to reconsider Ridgecrest as a location for one of their operations. Which is kind of nice.
Yes.
But they are actively, and we do have discussions going on about their interest in a 5,000 square foot building that's located on China Lake Boulevard that they want to buy and renovate. Well, there's one building that in particular that we've been talking about, which is next to Tokyo House. It's the old, is it Salvation Army, or was it?
Yes.
Goodwill.
Goodwill building.
Goodwill,
Salvation,
yeah.
Heaven forgive me. Goodwill building. And they're obviously trying to work out the numbers to make that work, and we're going to have them out probably in the next couple of weeks to talk about it. But there's an example where you get close to finishing up a deal and somebody else buys them, and you go start from square one, and you look it back over, and you do this over again. Interestingly enough, Applebee's, the last group, looked at our city in relation to Lompoc, and they had put in a similar building type of renovation in Lompoc, and it was very, very successful. And if you look at the demographics of Lompoc, it happens to be, interestingly enough, a high research, of course, the Vanderburg being the big, and all that sort of stuff kind of fits ours. So that's what's really perked their interest in locating here. So Applebee's is not dead. We're still working on it, stage 4, but
Okay.
we're getting there. And that's just an example of how these things kind of get stretched out. You know, rumors going on back and
Well,
forth.
like
and
Robert
that's it.
says, his word gets out
Yeah,
that Super Walmart has built
right,
here. Others will come,
right.
following the
Right.
sheep, like you said.
But Applebee's was totally separate from that.
Right.
But it is one of the. I just want to show you how development can go, and it's stressful sometimes because people say, "Well, you were working at Applebee's. What happened?" Well, people like you guys, say, "Well, where's my Applebee's?" I ended up ordering more hamburgers, losing more hamburgers. But anyway, that's what happens. They just get acquired, and then you start again, and go forward like that. So
Well, it'd be really nice. I mean, Applebee's and an International House of Pancakes is the same.
well, actually,
corporate
up in the corporation owns all three. So we'll see when we talk to their real estate people.
Be
And it's
cool.
brand new real estate people, so you got to start over again.
Yeah.
But that's where we are in Applebee's. For those of you who don't know. And by the way, if I have any landowners that own a 5,000 square foot empty building on China Lake, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay. Because people always telling me we got all kinds of empty buildings, and when I go look for one, because the retailer wants to be on China Lake, not on Norma, not on all the other streets.
Gotcha.
They don't understand.
We're suddenly going, I don't have any buildings that fit that requirement, or a very limited number of buildings. So if you got one, let me know, guys, because I want to push it too.
That sounds to me like the sheep effect again.
Yep.
I heard a rumor from an insider that once the Super Walmart is up and running, that now one of the Albertson stores,
Yeah,
the
I've heard that
northern-
too. The
the
old
northern
Albertson.
st- yeah, the old
they
Albertsons
are the
might
one north
close.
on Norma, I guess it is. That makes no sense, folks. Now, I have not talked to Albertson about this, so I'm not giving you confirmed information. But it doesn't make any sense logistically because one of the reasons that people shop on grocery is locality.
Yes.
And that's at the very northern end of town.
Yes.
Walmart's at the very southern end of town. So people will tend to go to the local shopping. If they were going, very honestly, if they were looking at shopping for the cheapest price, quote unquote,
Yes.
they would be going someplace else in town that's
Yes.
cheaper than Albertsons. Albertsons never been the cheapest store in town.
Correct.
Sorry, Albertsons. But that's just the fact. So they're more about service and convenience. And so the likelihood of closing the northern store is much less than if you were looking at that logic. You'd be saying, why wouldn't you close the store right across the street from the competitor?
That's what I would have thought.
But they're investing in that store, so I don't hear
Yeah.
that. Now, corporately, you never know what a store is doing.
Right.
But we have had no information that that's happening, official information from Walmart.
Maybe you ought to talk to him.
Yeah, we'll do that for you. Next time I talk to you, I'll have an opportunity to get some information on that. But
All right.
no word from them at all.
How are things going at the city?
Things are going along. We're
Inside the house.
Yeah, inside the house, we're extremely busy. As you know, the problem has been budgeting for the city has always been very, very thin, and it's getting thinner because the state keeps taking local money to operate their budgets.
Shame on them.
Man, they've been doing that for years, and so most of the departments are running short-staffed. So we're trying to do 3 jobs instead of 1, and I know that sounds like a cry story, but that's what's happening. So overall, though, the city seems to be doing pretty well. We have a very aggressive and very strong council that seems dedicated to getting
Yeah,
things
they
done.
seem to be doing
They're trying to do their very best to get everything done.
a different job than the other council, let's put it that way.
I would tell you,
Significantly.
all I can tell you is this council is very dedicated to serving its citizens. So
And guess what? We're out of time again.
Again.
It always happens.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it.
Gary.
next time I'll bring the hamburgers. No,
All
okay.
right.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
All right, good night, folks. We'll see you again next week.